Well, hello everyone. It's like here to show you that what you call is the GlowRoll ball is like stories. It's like talking about it's like for like a game idea, playground game idea. Is that I went ahead and came up with for GlowRoll Ball. As you see right here is most of us are familiar with like a game such as it's like Foursquare, or maybe if you've heard of the games it's like such as knockout, but I'll go ahead and color in right here is like is the circle. And of course this type of game, which if I can maybe explain a little bit, it's like knowing about the fact about that talking about it's like you come up with an idea that I went ahead and came up with the idea is like you're talking about is like taking a playground ball and then a new pair of shoes, which I think like knowing about that a lot of times if you went to school every day with a new haircut it is, but then knowing about if you were to buy yourself a new pair of shoes it is, and like a lot of the classmates a lot of times will give you compliments, and of course knowing about, hey, where'd you get those? But other than that, is talking about it's like for like a GlowRoll Ball type of sport activity. Is talk about right here is knowing about that. It's like, what is this type of sport? Well, it's like maybe I can talk a little bit about it. Is talking about it's like with a kid that it's like knowing about have a kid that will be play out on the playground. It's like most of us, if we are familiar with like those type of games, it is such as you say the tunnel ball, if tether ball, and then all those other sports it is that you would be familiar with. And of course what some people will probably think about is the type of game activity. It's like that maybe that they probably think about is like the kind that more likely is not so boring. But I remember whenever I was a kid, a lot of times it was like the games that were most commonly on the playground, of course, were like basketball, and a couple of them were like you say of some of them at times were like Foursquare it was. But other than that you have right here is that a player. You would have a player that would you say that would sit on and say one part say of a say go ahead and use the red. But basically the game rules as I went ahead and thought about is talking about is like each player. It's like you talk about it's like with the paint. That each part of the game would be like have like a different color. It's like one will be like a red and a blue, and then of course with the orange or anything like that. And then of course it's like the type of paint that glows it is. But that they would go ahead and take the ball. That they would get a ball to play with. It is talking about is like that we're talking about is like a type of a ball that you would roll. But then of course the only time it would bounce, of course, if it if it were to to touch the corners it would bounce off to the next player. But basically the rules that of course I came up with on this game, of course, right here is talk about say with GlowRoll Ball is that talking about with most kids who probably think about is like talk about maybe a game that's a little bit more exciting. It is other than what you call maybe race hot racers or anything like that. And the only kid that that more likely would like to play with on the playground it is. But I was thinking more about that the fact about that each player would be able to pick a color that they would want. It's like each player would have a spot you say on the playground where that they would be able to pick a spot to where that they could maybe rest at. And then knowing about that if you were to have a ball it is have a ball, and then of course is to pick out for whatever color, whatever side that you want to be playing on. And then knowing about that the basic rules about your GlowRoll Ball is that you would take the ball, and then of course it would say bounce one player that would serve it, and then of course it would roll, and then from wherever whichever side that you would roll to, if it goes to the player say on the opposite, and of course that other player of course would pass it back to whatever player that that they wanted it is. And then knowing about with me that knowing about that it's like if I figured out all the rules yet, it's like knowing about the fact about really if there's a a specific rule about the fact about, you know, player one, you know, gets whatever remaining points. But a lot of people will probably think about, you know, whenever I was a kid, they think about the, if you're gonna, you know, be making a game that, you know, for everybody to like and enjoy, it is talking about is that, yeah, that you know, you come up with an idea for a game, and then knowing about that, yeah, you know, anything that has to do with maybe what you call is like maybe that that nobody's considered out, or whatever you call it. You know, nobody's considered out, or it's like nobody's, you know, considered in. It's like well, you know, that last strike, it's like, you know, 3 strikes you're out. But other than that they probably think about that, yeah, have a, you know, particular game in mind. It is knowing about if you have like what you call a number of players, about, you know, 4 players, it is that would be, say, playing against, it's like so far as a game of a GlowRoll Ball. But the fact about, you know, the idea came up with about GlowRoll Ball is a fact, you know, is with the ball that of course it would roll, and then it would bounce. It is, and of course you have some type of, let's say, of a way of knowing about that, yeah, that if you earn enough points, and it would wind up, you say, with that, it would wind up causing, say, if you were earning enough points, you know, whoever that winds up, you know, with the ball that glows, it is, and knowing about that, yeah, that, you know, that whoever gets the ball to glow, you know, wins the game, it is. But on the other hand, too, knowing about with me that the specific, you know, activity about the game, of course, would be is if I can go and pick the spot right here, and just knowing about that, you know, each player, of course, will be able to pick a color for whatever that they wanted. Say of the choices that they had, like, you know, 4 different colors. Let's say I'm talking about maybe not really a game of, say, of cards, it is, but you talk right here is the middle spot right here, the middle circles, say. And of course I can go ahead and, you know, add some red in here. But then of course right here is a type of game, you know, a sport idea. It's like talk about with GlowRoll Ball. This middle spot right here, of course, you know, they say that, you know, in the actual game, more likely it would be painted, you know, different colors, it is. And just knowing about the fact that, yeah, the specific rule about the fact that, you know, if there's going to be a game so far as, you know, out of bounds or anything like that, if it bounces or anything like that, you know, a lot of people probably think about your game maybe with GlowRoll Ball is knowing about the fact that, you know, it's not supposed to bounce. It's not supposed to bounce. It's supposed to roll. It's, you know, it's supposed to roll. But on the other hand, too, that knowing about that, yeah, if it were to bounce, then more likely you probably say, you know, if it were to bounce, then make sure that, you know, it bounces within the certain part, you say, of the circle, or the spot, it is, you say, on the game, so you say any spot right here in the center. If it were to bounce, it would need to bounce, you know, about right here, kind of like the game of Foursquare, if most of us have played it before. But then of course with GlowRoll Ball is knowing about that you would be able to pick a color, and of course is knowing about that, yeah, you know, what part of the game to where you see anything glow, really. But the way I think about it is that you know, that really, you know, if anything, maybe the paint would glow, of course. But it's like your players would be able to follow the game rules. It is talking about with GlowRoll Ball, is that knowing about that yeah, that for whoever that keeps the ball in say in place, it is, without it going out of balance. You say knowing about this is like, and besides, other than, you know, you're out, it's so far as talking about, it's like, you know, nice try for so far as for say is for GlowRoll Ball.